The defense, meanwhile, argued that women were willing participants in fulfilling Combs' sexual desires and that all the encounters we heard about in this trial were consensual. And there you see, after the verdict, Diddy's family celebrating on the streets in New York City, doing push-ups on the sidewalk while others danced. They said a few words exclusively to ABC News, and the attorney for Cassie Ventura also spoke out about this verdict.
Love everybody watching. So happy. Pop's coming home. God bless. God bless the whole world.
We are going to start with the bail being denied in the Combs case. Joining me now is Chris Melcher, a celebrity lawyer and former sex crimes defense attorney. Thank you for joining us. So many moving parts here today. We know prosecutors argued that there was no legal basis for Combs to be granted bail, while his defense had argued that Combs had demonstrated model behavior while in detention during the trial. So ultimately, why do you think Combs didn't make bail?
Well, Meg, the judge denied bail or release pending his sentencing because he was found guilty of 2 serious crimes.
Welcome, my friends. My name is Antoine Phoenix, and this is my RP experience. Peace and love to all my brothers and sisters out there. Thank you for the like button, subscribing, sharing, and turn on all notifications so you know that I have a whole new video up. As everybody knows, Diddy dodged most of the serious charges, and he's yet to get the verdict for the lesser charges. Now, I've heard both sides here that is defending him and also throwing him into the lake of fire, basically. There's a creator known as Ticket TV that has always went hard that he's against what Diddy did. And I think he overplayed his hand, much like the federal government with the RICO and the S trafficking. And from what I understand what S trafficking is, and this is the only reason why I didn't believe that was valid, was in order to be S trafficking someone, it has to be a person that doesn't want to be there or want to do what you want them to do. Most of the people that was going to the parties wanted to be there. Now, the only thing that I noticed with this case is, yes, they want to be there. They want to be at those parties. But did they want to be drugged? Did they want to have things rubbed on them like the baby oil or whatever drink that they was taking that would make them somewhat out of it, more lively, forgetful of what happened the other day? Well, the other night? No. So I'm thinking isn't it, I don't know what charge, because I'm not a lawyer or I'm not in the legal profession, but isn't it a charge for you drugging someone against their will? I would think so. Okay. And on the opposite side, you have people like Antoine Daniels, some of the other people in the man space that totally was defending and supporting Diddy in so many ways. Well, nobody could defend the Cassie beating, but they just chalked it up as him being freaky. Once again, the feds mess up on that one right there. There's no law against being freaky. I would went with him drugging people and him using his power and influence to get people to do things that they did not want to do, but they did do. Example is, I heard he told a man to fellatio him for some sort of music opportunity favor. And that man did. Now, of course, though, that's hearsay. That person did not appear, as far as I know, in the courtroom, but it's too many people that have come up to say that he wanted them to do something for them and sexually, and either they did it or they refused and then they was out the door. Now, the only thing with that is, as far as I know, if someone does it at a job that I'm working, if a superior, a manager, a supervisor, a area manager does that to an employee that's lower than them, tells them to do a sexual favor so that they can keep their job or do something like that, usually the person can drum up charges to sue the hell out of them. Now, I don't think they'll go to jail, but they'll lose a lot of money, okay? And depending on the amount of people, they'll get some type of I can't think of a word for this, but they'll get this real bad reputation of either being an S offender, something like that. Now, I heard there was rumors that there was minors at some of his parties. Also saw a article that said that he was advising people to get the kids out of the party around 9 or 9:30 so that the adults can get loose. So I'm still not sure of that one, but there was some smoke to that and then it just died off. Because a lot of those people, if they were underage, that was in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, and they're older now, maybe they waited too long or whatever reason, maybe they cannot prove their age. But of course, we always go back, well, I go back to the Justin Bieber thing when Justin Bieber was hanging out with him. And whether he did something to Justin or not, I do believe Justin was exposed to things that a teenager should not have been exposed to. The same thing with Usher that handed him off to Diddy. And everybody cannot deny that Diddy must be down low because of things that he said on the Breakfast Club and some other shows that somewhat exposed what he was saying. Now, I kind of believe that there were underage people just because of this clip of Samara from The Ring. All those videos confiscated. There were no underage kids in those videos that the feds had got. Maybe it wasn't. But I have a theory that I think happened. And of course, it's just my opinion. But for those of you that were unclear how Diddy got acquitted, I have a clip right here. And I know someone had told me that Trump had pardoned him. No. Look, this is the thing. Always get your facts straight before you start saying stuff out into the world. Have something that you read and have a couple of sources that you have maybe saw a video or on TV. Don't believe one by itself. Get a bunch of them together and then you can come to your own conclusion. Despite the fact that he was acquitted by the jurors, I have another theory and I will share that later. But let's see what the news has to say.
We are going to start with the bail being denied in the Combs case. Joining me now is Chris Melcher, a celebrity lawyer and former sex crimes defense attorney. Thank you for joining us. So many moving parts here today. We know prosecutors argued that there was no legal basis for Combs to be granted bail, while his defense had argued that Combs had demonstrated model behavior while in detention during the trial. So ultimately, why do you think Combs didn't make bail?
Well, Meg, the judge denied bail or release pending his sentencing because he was found guilty of 2 serious crimes. And so generally speaking, when that happens, the person is remanded to custody and is held pending sentencing. There were some unusual circumstances here because he had already served pretrial detention since September, and he was acquitted of these much more serious crimes, and he was offering a bond and other conditions. So it seemed like he could have the opportunity to walk out that door, but that's not going to happen so quickly.
So, Chris, we know the sentencing was scheduled for October 3rd, and there's a status update on July 9th. He will be in custody until sentencing. Could Combs' legal team appeal his guilty charges? If so, what would that process look like?
Well, yes, I would anticipate he'll appeal. Usually that's going to happen after his sentence is rendered in October. And he could try to go to the Court of Appeal beforehand and say that he should be released pending that sentencing. But I don't think the Court of Appeal will interfere with the judge's really broad discretion on how to treat a defendant who's been found guilty.
All of the legal experts today have been calling this a big win for the defense. Why do you think the prosecution couldn't convince the jury on those more serious charges?
Well, Meg, the RICO charge was really complicated, and it never really seemed to fit the behavior that we saw here in this case. The RICO charges are usually for the mafia or cartel, some kind of organized crime ring. And here, this was one guy alleged of doing some really depraved and horrible things for his own gratification. Yes, there were other people that he used to assist him, but those folks work for him and sometimes were even abused by him. So this was more of an enterprise by one person. It really didn't fit. And it looked like a little bit of an overcharge, actually, on what he was actually doing. And the jury just couldn't come to a consensus on these bigger charges, and really as a compromise, it appears, agreed to the transportation for prostitution charges that they could all find a unanimous verdict on this morning.
And we know that both of those charges carry up to 10 years each in prison. What kind of sentencing do you think Combs will ultimately receive?
Well, there's no minimum sentence for that charge. It's a maximum of 10 years. There's guidelines under federal law. They're arguing over whether that could be 2 years or 5 years in prison. He will have served over a year in detention by the time his sentencing happens, and he'll get credit for that time. He also has no criminal history that we're aware of, so there's no prior convictions. And so this might indicate a lower sentence, and after he gets credit for the time that he served, he maybe could do no time, or maybe 1 or 2 years is potentially in play.
And is it possible during that status update on July 9th that the defense team could argue to move that sentencing up?
Yeah, absolutely. They already made that play and saying, we want this done earlier. And the judge said, well, this is going to take time. There's reports that need to be done. The court will look at aggravating and mitigating factors on what sentence to issue. They're also going to look at the victim impact statements here. And the court said, we're going to take our time doing that. Of course, Diddy wants to get out of custody earlier, but, yes, I imagine he's going to renew that plea to accelerate this process. Why wait 3 months to develop that information?
I'm curious what your reaction was this morning when the jury came back after only about an hour of deliberating and was able to deliver a verdict. Yesterday, we heard that they could not reach a unanimous verdict. What do you think changed?
Well, Meg, these people invested 7 weeks of their lives into this, and I believe they wanted to reach a verdict. And so they were really opposed, it seemed like yesterday, and couldn't come to consensus. They slept on it and must have just realized, hey, there's one thing we can agree on, that's the transportation. The other charges we can't agree on. And instead of having that a deadlocked or hung jury on those other charges, they just said, hey, we're going to acquit them on that. And that's the magic or mystery that happens in juries. It's unpredictable, but at least they were able to come to an agreement, all 12 of the jurors.
All right, Chris Melcher, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Well, I now understand how the jurors came to that decision, because the feds could not totally prove the RICO or the S trafficking right there, and they could not agree on that. Now, in that way, it does seem fair. But as I said before, what about the drugging people? What about, it's charges that's not even on there. And they didn't even bring up anything. Well, I guess you can't prove that with that, that shooting that happened with Shine and Jennifer Lopez was there. Maybe that reached the statute of limitations. And you can't tell me Diddy wasn't in anything else. And then, wasn't there stories of him threatening people with a gun and so forth? Where did all that go at? Now, I have another thing where I guess, lucky for some people, that the judge denied Diddy bail.
Katrina, you were in the courtroom today. Paint a picture for us. What was Combs' demeanor like first after the verdict and then hearing his bail was denied?
There is such a contrast today. Earlier, Combs was absolutely joyous about this verdict. He was acquitted on the most significant charges against him. So in many ways, this is a victory for him, absolutely. But he did seem much more worried after he heard that he wasn't going to be getting bail. He sat there looking very serious, passing notes to his attorney. At one point, he actually raised his hand, and his lawyer for a moment indicated that Combs wanted to say something. So we thought he might speak in court. He ultimately decided not to. But there was a moment after court. He turned to his family. He told them, we'll make it through this. Stay in the light. And he said that he'll see them all when he gets out. He said that twice. And then his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, went over to the family and really gave them a pep talk. There were 2 rows full of his children, his family, his supporters, even Fahim, his security guard, who was named as a co-conspirator in the racketeering conspiracy. And what Mark Agnifilo told them is that today was a great day, that it is extremely rare. In fact, this is the first time ever that the Southern District of New York has lost a racketeering case, he said, and that Sean Combs really beat this by showing up, facing this like a man, not being afraid, and that he's going to ultimately get his life back. So despite the fact that Sean Combs is not walking free tonight, he still says this is absolutely a victory for him and for his family.
All right, Katrina Kaufman, thank you so much for all your thorough reporting and for all those interesting details.
Now, I'm going to put this thought in your head. I think a reason that Diddy got off is because this is a little bit different than the Jeffrey Epstein one, the guy with the Allen, because when he got taken down, and of course he had a similar type of thing, except for supposedly he had minors involved with that Allen. But I don't think he had people beside that woman that was his right hand woman that he could turn to. Now Diddy has at least some family. Well, his kids, his sons, that's definitely probably got his back. Maybe Kanye as well. But I do think the feds just charged him maybe with the wrong thing here. And I'm not sure if there's names for some of the things that I would say, such as him drugging people, threatening people by force, goon squad, probably. I mean, I think give it to Diddy to a certain degree. He was smarter than Suge Knight. They was able to lock Suge Knight up for what was he doing? Okay. But he was more hands on and he was probably a bit more sloppy with some of his stuff. Diddy was smart enough to have J Lo carry the gun when he would go into the club. He would have other people do stuff. So if something went down, he's not the one being left holding the bag. Huh. And then there's the Brittany Murphy rumor. Her demise in her connection to Ashton Kutcher, which is connected to Diddy, mysterious causes. Also with, what was the name? I forget the name of Diddy's uh, baby mom. Well, the main one that I know of. Mysterious causes, but once again, there's no proof. Either way, what I believe is Diddy was smart enough that if he was going to go down, he was going to take everybody down. And why I don't believe that he's innocent of these charges. I don't know about the racketeering one because it's too much in with that. Yeah, because usually that's crime bosses and usually they're tied in with casinos and drugs. I don't think Diddy got hard tied in with that right there. But once again, I didn't follow the case that closely to see, but obviously the juror didn't think so. But again, I think that it was too many other powerful people that either he had dirt on, political people, music people, people in Hollywood, because there's a lot of people that has hung around with him. So if he was going to go down and be in jail, and that's why I think, and see, okay, it's two things that make me think that he definitely was guilty. Being involved in not what he was being charged with, but being involved with along the lines of using and abusing people within the entertainment industry. When he first got locked up, from what I heard, he refused to eat. Now, of course, though, it could have been because he got used to eating a certain kind of food, but he didn't trust maybe not being poisoned. Okay. It was a hard scramble of him getting his sons to move the pizza boxes. which obviously that's code for something. But see, my memory goes back to when certain political people had emails talking about pizza and pizza boxes. Was it the same thing? I don't know. But I'm just saying. But see, that's something that can't be proven. That's alleged. Okay. But what I'm going on is he was fearful with that. I didn't even think this was going to go to trial. I thought he was going to get murked. But because it did go to trial, I had a suspicion that he might get off. He might get off. Now, if it's any condolences to the people that want him to rot in jail, at least his back got broke with money because he had to pay for his lawyer fees. I can't think the word. When people are suing, he had to pay off a bunch of people. Okay, so I'm pretty sure he's not a billionaire right now. He's still richer than me and you, though. So him dodging this tells me that there was and that's the thing. Another thing that I forgot, that I also believe that he was guilty of a lot of things that he was being accused of. Okay, I'll say the thing that he was being accused of, not the racketeer and the S trafficking, just because other people was willingly doing this. But the only thing with that is, I thought paying somebody to, like, flying some girl over or some guy over for some sort of sexual thing was automatic as trafficking. That's what I heard. Okay, that's what I heard it was, but I guess they have different definitions for different people when they want it to. Either way, the fact that people did not come defend him, all these people saying, "Oh, free Diddy," if these are people that don't know him, or people that I don't know if they have connections to him, like some of the podcasters or some of the guys in the man space. I don't know if they ever associated or met this man. Again, not his friends, supposedly, the Ashton Cultures, the DiCaprios, all those people. J Lo left the country. Ellen left the country. None of them defended him when he was going through all this shit. So this tells me either they was down with it, or they knew some stuff that was going on that they just don't want to be part of. Okay? So that tells me it has to be some truth to the stuff. Unfortunately, they could not prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Again, it'll probably go to the civil case, and he'll probably get wrecked again, money wise. So he'll survive this, but he's his pockets is probably going to be thin. But then again, once again, he has dirt on those people that probably put the foot on his neck. So I have to see how this plays out. If he's going to go broke silently, because I'm pretty sure he made a thing of, I don't want to do no time, because if I do time, we all going to do time. So I don't know. What do you think? I know, unfortunately, similar like the Amber Heard thing, where the women was defending her and the men was like, no. I'm sensing the same dynamic here, with most of the men defending him and the women saying no. And some of the men are defending him, saying, well, I don't condone what he did, but it's not against the law to be freaky. But is it against the law to be threatening people, drugging people, ordering them to do a sexual favor for you so that they could get a record deal, or try to get some type of opportunity, is that against the law? I assume somewhere it is. I don't know what you would call it, but somewhere it is. So that's it. Give me a like and subscribe. Have a good night.
Let's finish him properly this time.
You could not live with your own failure. And where did that bring you? Right back to Diddy and his money. I thought that by eliminating Tupac, people would respect Bad Boy. But you've shown me that's impossible. And as long as there are those that know about the freak-offs, then people won't want to party with me for their birthdays anymore. They will resist.
Yeah, well, everybody don't like baby oil, Puff.
Yo, baby mama loved it.
Wankster.
What you need to do is pay me back for my Porsche you set on fire.
I never even been in your house.
That Molotov cocktail came from a bottle of Ciroc, Puff. Just admit it.
Hey, Sergeant Snitch, why don't you ask Cassie to buy you one? She got plenty of money now.
I earned that money, Puff, because you forced me to do all those things that I willingly participated in. Besides, what did you expect? I married a personal trainer. I was broke.
She right. 50% of dudes coming out of prison think they personal trainers. It's a saturated field.
Prison's not so bad.
What the helly?
You ever bust a spread?
Only thing you like to spread is man chowder all over your chest.
Man, forget about all that. You broke into my house and opened all my Christmas presents up. You ruined the best part.
I would have finished you off, but you ended your own career when you became somebody's bride on the red carpet.
So Cassie caught the bouquet at your wedding or what?
Y'all just don't know fashion.
If you would have just let me watch you slam the ham, then all this could have been avoided, Playboy.
Bro, no.
I'm trying to see that Manaconda.
Dude, bro.
Oh, you not packing? What you got, that 38 snub nose?
I ain't gonna let you do him like you did Justin Bieber, Puff. It's over. You and it.
I had Joe BM popping mollies like Tic Tacs.
You ain't special, Puff. She was a doorknob. Everybody gets a turn. I got something for you now, Puff.
50, I don't know what happened. Diddy gave me a pill and I woke up 5 years later.
Hey, you might want to go get tested.
If you miss this train,